This is a Colin Bridgerton defense video and me defending my reason for putting him at the top of the Bridgerton men ranking. Season 3 comes out tomorrow and I want as many people as possible to be on the Colin Bridgerton love train. And if after this video you still don't like him and you still think he's a bit bad and everything, that's completely fine. It's your own opinion. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. But I do want to defend him a little bit. I have a list of accusations that were put against Colin that I'm going to be going through. These were ones that were put on the comment section of my previous video, which was the Bridgerton men ranking. Colin was jealous of Penelope. Yes, but this isn't as bad as it sounds. A lot of Colin's journey throughout the book is him feeling that he lacks purpose and that he doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life. And he starts to struggle with that and he starts to realize what he actually wants to do, which is maybe writing, and Penelope helps him realize his dream. And after Colin finds out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown, he actually starts to feel a little bit jealous of her. Not because that he thinks that what she did was shameful or that he wants to take her life, but because she found her purpose and she did something with it. But throughout all of this, Colin is still incredibly proud of Penelope and so admires the fact that she had this dream, she had this talent, and she realized it into an incredibly successful endeavor. And while jealousy and envy can be quite ugly emotions, Colin is quite careful to make sure it doesn't become that. And I think this just leads into the fact that his character has always been a little bit oblivious. He's a little bit blind to most things. And so he really thinks that he's hiding the fact that he's jealous quite well. Up until the point Penelope asks him outright, "Are you ashamed of me?" And he immediately goes, "God, no, I'm not ashamed of you. I'm jealous." And he explains what he's feeling. And I think that jealousy is such a human emotion because we've all been jealous of someone in our lives. We're all envious of other people and what they're doing and their successes. And so Colin being jealous isn't really a fault in his character, in my eyes. Colin is jealous of his brothers because they have a purpose in their life. This is similar to what I said before. I also don't think he's actively as jealous of his brothers as he is of Penelope because he does not want his brothers' careers at all, but he does want to become a writer, and that is what Penelope is. So it is a little bit stronger with Penelope than it is with his brothers. But again, I don't think that I can fault jealousy because it's a very human emotion and most people feel it all the time. And at the end of the day, Colin doesn't really take it out on anyone. The second he realizes that it is affecting another person, he stops. Colin stole Penelope's Lady Whistledown papers and basically stopped her publishing once he found out that she was Lady Whistledown. This is a weird time where I actually will commend Colin's quick thinking in this situation because I don't know that I would have realized as fast as he did what was really going on. Essentially, at this point, Penelope has stopped the Lady Whistledown Society papers, and this will probably be very different in the show, but in the books, she stopped writing them. And it's only when Cressida Cowper claims to be Lady Whistledown that Penelope wants to go write a retraction and basically say, actually, I'm not stopping anymore, and I am not Cressida Cowper, I will never be Cressida Cowper. And so it's these papers that Colin finds, and that's how he realizes that Penelope has been Lady Whistledown this whole time. And he realizes that Penelope is only publishing these next papers out of spite, and he knows that she has an out. If she lets Cressida Cowper take the fall for Lady Whistledown, then Penelope has an out and can live a very normal life, knowing that she has all this success behind her. And in this moment, he doesn't really take Penelope's side of things into account, but Penelope is also not really listening to him. They're not really listening to each other as much, and they've both gone through these big revelations. Colin has learned that for the last 10 years, this woman who has been, harassing the Ton and basically writing all these scandal sheets is actually the woman that he's falling in love with and has known his whole life. And Penelope, who has carried this massive secret on her back and done all this incredible work and harassing of the Ton in a way, has now finally got someone to share the secret with, and it happens to be the person she's been in love with for the last decade. It is an incredibly high emotional scene for both of them, and Colin's reaction, I didn't ever read it as him being angry or him being jealous or him stealing the papers. I read it as him panicking because this person that he cares so deeply about could get so easily vilified by the entire Ton and ostracized if it came out that she was Lady Whistledown. And he admits throughout the book that he's never really felt that he cared that much about anything or anyone really. He's never felt the need to settle down and get married. He's never felt the need to do any of that until Penelope comes along. And then he has this woman who he's so head over heels in love with and is absolutely terrified that she could jeopardize her own future. And so I think that his reaction to finding out that Penelope was Lady Whistledown is actually quite tame compared to how most people would probably react to finding out their friend of 10 years had been lying to them and everyone they knew, and that they were actually this mastermind behind these really quite harsh scandal sheets that had been judging everyone they knew. And he spends the rest of the book panicking about the ramifications of all of this and what it would mean for them, because he doesn't want to let Penelope go. He wants her in his future and he wants her to be in the limelight and be proud, but he's also terrified about what that would mean for her. And the final claim is that Colin grabbed Penelope in order to make her bruise. I will say, grabbing someone and hurting them in any capacity is not okay and never will be okay. But I do think that in this context, it's meant to be more shown as an expression of anger more than anything else. And this is important because Colin, as a character, has basically said that he's never really been angry. He's never had that much passion enough to be angry. He's known as being charming and kind, and Penelope says that he never really loses his temper. And so the fact that he is almost losing his temper and feeling out of control shows how much he cares about this situation and how much he is genuinely freaking out. And the scene where he does this is after Penelope has gone behind his back and published the Lady Whistledown retraction anyway, because she couldn't live with herself knowing that Cressida Cowper was getting all the credit for being Lady Whistledown. And though the papers were published early and Penelope hadn't wanted them to be published on their engagement party, Colin doesn't know this. He thinks that Penelope has basically orchestrated it so that the papers would be released on their engagement party, which is not a great thing to do, really. And I want to make it clear, Penelope has lied to him and has jeopardized their future together with this retraction. And so he is rightfully very, very upset. He shouldn't have grabbed her and he shouldn't have done it forcefully and dragged her from the room, but I can understand why he is so upset. I also want to say that he didn't grab her with the intent of hurting her. He didn't squeeze harder thinking, oh, I'm gonna really make her feel pain. He was just freaking out and he just needed to get them away from the room. Final point, he yanked her hand and she fell on her face. I believe this is the scene after he's asked her to marry him and she's actually really surprised and kind of trips and falls on her face. So I don't think that was really Colin's fault entirely. I think that was more just the moment being so shocking and Penelope literally falling on her face because of it. But happy Bridgerton Day, everyone, because in the time that I filmed this, I'm pretty sure it has already gone past midnight, and by the time I post this, it'll definitely have gone past midnight. And so, happy Bridgerton Day! Also, I am working all day tomorrow, and by all day, I mean all day, so I will not be able to watch it until Friday. So I will be off TikTok and avoiding spoilers where possible.